Hello, hello. Welcome to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. I interview the top commercial real estate investors and industry experts so you can learn from their experiences. So if you're an investor, a high W-2 earner, or real estate or tech sales professional that wants to invest in real estate without having to manage properties or leave your day job, then this podcast is for you. Or if you're already investing in real estate, but you're doing it part-time and you want to become a full-time multifamily or full-time commercial real estate investor, this podcast is for you too. You're going to learn a ton. You will learn from real-life multifamily investors and other professionals in the industry. They're going to share their blueprints for success, and I'm super excited that you're here. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, hello. This is Abel Pacheco, your host for the Five Talents Podcast. We are super excited today because we have another amazing guest, Mr. Indar Lange. Indar, how's it going, brother?
Hey, aloha. We got to bust out the shakas here in Hawaii. It's our Hawaii gang sign.
Aloha, the
Aloha,
shaka.
everybody.
That's awesome. Well, I'm super excited because, I'm having you as a guest. I met Indar this year on Clubhouse, and
Yes.
he has one of those amazing stories yet again, millions and millions of dollars in flips and really managing businesses, helping with real estate, sharing his failures, his struggles, his wins with other people to really help others learn from his process. And so we've got an amazing individual, and I'm excited to have him on. And we thought we'd title the show Malama de Aina.
Malama na aina. Yes.
Malama de Aina. Respect and take care of the land, and it will take care of you. There's a Hawaiian saying. So, man, Indar, thank you very much, brother. Why don't let me turn it over to you. Give us an introduction. Tell us who you are and what you do in your own words.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me on. Awesome, awesome. You're such a great, inspirational person to talk to, and such an upbeat, just happy person. I love talking to you on Clubhouse and all the different platforms, listening to you. My name's Indar Lange. I'm born and raised here in beautiful Hawaii. This is my home. This is where I grew up. I was born on a pot farm, actually, in the jungles of in Hilo, 17 acres, water catchment, generator, just middle of nowhere. Came from a very low, different kind of class, and worked my butt off to where we're at now, of course. Got a degree in electrical engineering, got a business degree. That's great. I mean, engineering is great. I would have, made 150, 200,000 a year, which is a great job in most people. But, as most people, I wanted more. I wanted to have, more success in life. And a job is only can get you so far. And one thing to led to the next, and started getting into real estate, of course. I can chime in more about how I started there if you want. I mean,
It's awesome just hearing so far from a pot farm in the jungle to an engineer to somebody who's completed like $75 million in flips,
yeah.
tons of doors, and it's a pretty awesome kind of story, man. This is fun. So first of all, why did you want to be an engineer? How did that come about?
Well, since I was a little kid, I loved tinkering with things, taking things apart, and I love the mechanical side of things. And I'm great in math. I don't know if anyone has got an email from me. I'm sorry, I cannot spell. I'm horrible at emails and spelling and text, and I kind of just wing it and don't, just send an email and figure it out later. You guys can figure it out, I think. But math is my definitely strong suit. I love like calculus and all those fun stuff. That's what kind of led me in electrical engineer. I love gadgets and phones and see how they all work, technology. And I got the business degree first. And anyone out there young in life, you kind of start, stumbling through your different paths in life to what you want to do, and it keeps changing in a sense. And I didn't know I wanted to do real estate. We got into it probably about 26 years old, where we bought our first home. we went to the bank. Here's my beginning of the story. We went to the bank, got a little dinky loan of 200,000. That's all we can get here in Hawaii. That's 500 square feet. It's literally probably this big, a little box, because Hawaii is so expensive. Got a little box of apartment and lived in it and fixed it up myself and sold it after 2 years. And after 2 years, we pay no capital gains, no tax on that. And that kind of just led me rolling. We made 90 grand on that little thing. And instead of putting that money into a next place, we rented for a year and we used that 90 to kind of start flipping, to fund our gap funding and so forth. Um, and so that kind of just led us off. Yeah, I've done about 75 million in buy and sell in properties. It's because I'm in Hawaii. The average price of our home, I think, just beat everybody. Now we're up to 920. I think average price of our homes here in Hawaii. So just about the $1 million mark.
Holy moly, $1 million houses, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Man.
I,
And
I
you're the
remember.
oh, go
Okay.
ahead, go ahead.
I remember when I started, everyone's like, "You can't do Hawaii. It's too expensive. You can't flip in Hawaii," you know. And there was no one really doing it big. There was a few guys, but no one's scaling it. And my thinking has always been, somebody's gonna figure it out, and somebody's gonna do it. And to this day, I still have that mentality when I look at a flip, for example, and it's super hard and complicated. I'm like, somebody's going to do this deal. Either I make nothing and walk away, or I make something. And it's still my mentality today that it just takes creativity to figure out a deal and structure it and make it work. You know, all deals can work if you can figure it out, and that's the name of the game. Every
Yeah.
deal.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. With and now you're the largest in Hawaii. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, because the amount of we've done so much. There's a little network of good, solid, maybe 5, 6 strong guys I know, and a lot of up and coming people that we know, and it's such a tight knit group. And I love all my buddies here and all our friends, and even the up and comer. We're so close to each other. We're not no competition. I think we have like meetups and help each other out, and it's just the Hawaii way, Hawaii spirit, where we are in to help each other out and don't feel any sense of a competition. A little jealous here and there because I want these beautiful deals that people get, but that's just human nature, I guess. But yeah, we've been doing now since 2013, and I've done some really crazy high-end $3 million kind flips, and I don't love them, don't suggest them, don't I want to do them sometimes. They're so involved in, very detailed. You have to have under the cabinet lights and specialty this and very customized when you're doing a $3 million flip. So it's very detailed orientated compared to doing a little, for us, a cheap one is like a $300,000 house. That's a lowest we can probably find. And those ones are fun. I just did one right now. We literally just painted, cleaned it out, changed fixtures. That's my favorite kind of flip right there. You paint it, change it out, and we're gonna make 150 off of that thing. So those are my those are my loves right there. I'll
Get
do
it
those all
on.
day.
Get it
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Well, that's awesome. Well, Indar, thank you very much, just for giving us a little bit of background too, because I think this helps us and just to understand. I know we're a commercial real estate. We do
yeah.
multifamily, we do syndications,
Hmm.
but it's great to hear from somebody like yourself now that you're getting into those deals. Also,
Hmm.
you've got a reference of this is where you came from, is how you did it. So, before we talk about real estate, you went from engineer to it's crazy,
Yeah.
really. I don't know how to, sorry, I'm at a loss for words. You're the largest over there and you've done these $1 million flips over and over and over again, and you just figured out a creative way to make this work. And what was the mindset to get you from engineer to what you're doing now? Was it a freedom thing, a time thing? Was it a money thing? Was it a mixture? Like how did that come about?
Well, that's a good question. It just makes my wheels turn in my head. What was it? And you can't really pinpoint it on one thing. It just kind of it snowballs effect, right? I mean, I always had that intuition behind me that I really want to be very successful. I have the vision board where I have the big house and driving a nice Ferrari. So I wanted more in life. And an engineer was what I thought was enough for me, but it's just that drive to want more. And I paddle canoe. It's a huge Hawaii thing here. And I started hanging out at the Outrigger Canoe Club, which is like a private upscale club, very, very upscale club, very successful people. Most people there are millionaires. And I started kind of hanging around with them, and they all either do real estate to get there, or they have real estate in their portfolio where they're at now. So once I started, being around these successful people, I started realizing, real estate was going to take us to that next level, or had to be part of our lifestyle somehow. And to agents out there, they're great and I'll make a ton of money, but they make that 3%. I want to be the guy making the 97% of the deal, or all the difference. So real estate was just kind of the knack of where we wanted to get into. And my wife drugged me to one of those programs, right when we're kind of starting the beginning. And I love the educational side of things. I mean, I have all this college degrees and stuff, so I love education. I love learning. I mean, I'm a member of, just signed up for another program now, so I'm constantly trying to learn and grow myself, to keep just, I love learning, and I love seeing the new tricks and nuances out there that other people have learned in their markets, and how I can apply it to my markets, and so forth. And I just feel like I feel like I'm always a student and I'm always learning. And I never feel like I know too much, but
Yeah.
um, there's always somebody way more smarter, way more bigger than you, and it's never gonna end like that. So,
Yeah, no, I
but
love it, man. Well, that's to hear that your wife took you to the educational seminar in the first place. I think that was pretty cool. A lot of times we hear, conflicting. I wanted to do it, but my spouse says she doesn't, or one or the other. But to hear your wife kind of brought you into that,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. And I guess it sounds like you said, student of the business, learning and educating yourself. Then your eyes get, you realize these things can be done. I also like, how you said, hey, you started getting around other people, and they were it sounds like they were in a different position than you were, but the moment you were put into that network, you
Mhm.
realize, wow, these are real estate guys, or created or investing in real estate today. And, you start learning what they learn, and pick up, and
Mhm.
just trying to replicate the best parts. Right. So that's awesome. How did you get in that network in the first place?
Through my paddling community. Paddling is like our huge sport
Okay.
here. We paddle from island to island, and um, I was invited to the club to be on their team. It's a very expensive club. It's like 15,000 just to sign up. So it's not
Hmm.
cheap,
Yeah.
but they waived the membership for paddlers, and so I was able to get. I eventually had to pay that money, but
Yeah.
it was cool to be invited because of my athleticism of paddling. And this
Yeah.
was years ago. I kind of went a little bit down the hill
That's
in
how
my
you're like,
paddling.
okay, a little, and then I hear your little ones in the background. So
Yeah,
how
sorry
old are
about
your little
that.
ones? It's okay.
I
No
I
worries.
have a 3-year-old and a 1 month old.
A
I have a,
3 and a 1,
I have
in a 1 month.
month,
Oh, man.
a brand new
Well,
baby.
I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and every once in a while they're here, and for your ability to focus right now in an interview is super awesome. My partners have asked me saying, "How are you focusing right now?" I guess they hear all this stuff in the background, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"No, no, no, we're taking care of business."
yeah.
Anyways, that's awesome that you can do what you do what you love now, create a different lifestyle for you and your family, go after your dreams, do it with your family, literally with you, and then your
Mhm.
wife being the supportive part of it. And I guess I missed the canoe. I didn't connect what you said, the paddling, to
Paddling,
your
yeah.
network, because you mentioned it earlier, and I was like, oh yeah. So that's what brought you into that network, and then you
Mhm.
get to associate with a different crowd,
Yeah.
and up everything you can learn. Man, what?
It's
Uh,
it's a really tight network, the paddling community. Like we all
mhm.
know each other. I mean, I have some guys that do work for me in the community from paddling, investors and so forth. And it's really a tight, cool community because it's very local.
Yeah.
We paddle from one island to the next. So we do this 42-mile race called Molokai Hoi. It's pretty crazy. And
Yeah.
so that bond you form when you're out there
Yeah.
killing yourself for your brothers and your friends. And I love everybody who paddles. I love them all. We're all just tight. So it's a
What?
good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. What? I'm sure there's some parallels here. You met some great people. You were all, common vision, common, alignment of your activities. What parallels do you think you've seen from that community and the community of people that do real estate, and how does that all blend together for you?
Just kind of noticed that the successful people, even in the paddling community or whatever sport you may be in, are really driven to succeed, and they kind of go all in. Like we were doing 2-a-days for paddling and becoming great at that, and that competition mindset, in a sense, really strives you to get over obstacles and succeed in this business, because as we'll talk about here in a second, there's a lot of ups and downs in this business, and there's no way around it. You're going to have them, and if you don't have that strive for the best mentality, I think that not competition, but that pushing yourself to do better, um, is a driving factor, because it's hard from going from a W-2 job where you're nice getting your paycheck every day and living great, and you don't have to worry about nothing. You go to work, you get your check, and you're fine. In this industry, it's a little different. We have, when I flip a house, I don't get paid until I sell a house, or so forth like that. So it's a different atmosphere where you're constantly working, right? There's no days off. We don't have a job anymore. I almost feel like, right? We don't have a job. We have our company. We have our things that we have to do, but I don't feel like we have a job anymore. If I want to take off, I take off. If I want to do what I want, I can. Or you're muted.
I think I was on
Okay.
mute too.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there.
Man, thank you very much. This is awesome. Just, hearing from you and the mindset, I've never been to Hawaii. I want to go someday. Hoping this pandemic, all this stuff, comes to an end sometime, and my kids may be old enough. I'll have to tell you when I'm coming by, brother.
Yes, for sure.
Visit.
Anyone, just hit me up on Instagram, Facebook. You guys coming to Hawaii? Love to
Yeah.
talk story and meet up, and yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you
Yeah.
very much, Indar, for letting us into your world a little bit. The last thing that I'll ask about too, before we, really dig into the real estate side, is I think when we met, we were meeting in a room that was like your network is your net worth, one of those kind of things. And we were just, kind of introducing each other and meeting other people. And, so for you, how has your network helped you? How I guess what kind of thing resonates for you on that network is your net worth, and the people that you associate with and hang out with and that kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, as we were just saying, hanging around those very wealthy people. I mean, the owner of eBay, he's a member over there. I see him a couple of times. I mean, these are very high net worth people. I mean, you're talking bees. So even that, and even today with my relationship with biz, I just got a deal over the weekend. Literally a friend of mine calls me and says, hey, there's some investors over at my neighbor's house. Come take a look at this house right away. They want to sell it. She said, I didn't even know about it. And showed up over there and got the deal under contract. And just because we acted right away, we knew our numbers and so forth. But that was stemming from a relationship that I developed and cultured. I try to take time for people, and I try to talk. And as you know, Abel, it's very hard to do it all, because I'm sure you get a lot of questions and a lot of and it's hard to juggle all of that sometimes. And you want to be helpful to people, and you want to do as much as you can, but we all have I have 15 houses right now going, so it's hard to juggle it all.
Man, you got a big project management plan on your hands as well, in addition to everything else you have going. That's awesome. Okay, well, so thank you very much for Indar. This has been a really awesome conversation, and even just at this point, right? So knowing that you've been doing all of these $1 million transactions, really pumping them out from small to big, medium, all that good stuff. Tell us a little bit about what do you hold? How do you flip? And then what are you getting into now? It sounds like you're trying to do bigger, more doors. So just, any and all of whatever you feel comfortable sharing with us.
No, that's such a good one because that's really resonating with me now. Is I've been fixing and flipping for a while now. 2013 we started. 2015 we're all in heads, guns ablazing, and it's we're 8 years later. It's a job still. You have to show up. You have to get your contractors. You have to do the work, and it's taxing on you. It's draining for years and years of work. Very stressful business sometimes. Some days relax and enjoy, but it's still work, and I still have to do it. So I was never I was always wanting to do more buy and holds and stuff like that. And then the last few years now, I think 2 years, we started just doing BRRRRs, and we started analyzing deals. At first, this was one problem I had. I had a mindset that I could not find BRRRRs in Hawaii. I could not find great rental properties in Hawaii. We are probably one of the worst states for rental properties. Don't get me wrong. We are horrible. The rent to our values just don't factor out. But I had that mindset that I couldn't. And once I realized that was my problem, I had to change my mindset. The doors, deals, and things started opening up, and the BRRRRs look better, to keep as rental. Um, Everyone talks about BRRRRs, but no one ever talks about analyzing if it's a good rental as a BRRRR.
Yeah.
So they never talk to that. So we follow a quick 1% rule to analyze if it's a good rental, just to analyze a deal real off the bat. Of course, I put it through a deal analyzer, but we make sure we follow that. And right before that, that's when I started looking in Ohio. So we started in Ohio first, and we got 16 doors there, single family homes, about 16 doors. And that's a great cluster of homes we have up there, and we really enjoy those. We actually Airbnb them, and they make a ton more Airbnb, but we make sure they follow into that 1% rule kind of advice, because if Airbnb shuts down, if Airbnb goes away, we don't want to be stuck with those asset classes that are just we're scratching to get by.
Yeah.
So
Elaborate on this 1% rule for those that don't know what it is.
it's just a quick, dirty rule of thumb that we like to use. It's whatever you purchase it plus a rehab we use. So if you're all in at 100,000, you need to rent it for $1,000. And here in Hawaii, average price of the home is 900,000. Pretty hard to find a rental that you're going to get $9,000 from, and it's very hard to find those numbers here in Hawaii to make that 1% rule. And this is where people went in trouble here in Hawaii, is they were making that profit using Airbnb. So you could do that because Airbnbs, you make more, right? So if you are basing that 1% rule, what you should make about that off of Airbnb, and Airbnb goes to crap, you're screwed. And that's what happened here in Hawaii about a year, 2 years ago. They cracked down on Airbnbs totally. They're still cracking down right now, where it's illegal. You have to have permits, and they're really, really cracking down on Airbnbs. It has to do with our hotel industry and the lobbyists, and they want a piece of the pie, of course. But if that was your whole strategy, was Airbnb of these rentals, and then they go to disappear, or you have some kind of illegal conforming rental, maybe a split 2-3 unit, and the state inspector comes by and you're shut down. If you're doing something that is controversial, you don't want it to be your whole you want to have a backup plan and a backup exit strategy on these things. For me, and that's just for me. I mean, other people can take that risk and so forth, but I'm very conservative to have that backup plan.
It's good. Make sure you have multiple exit strategies. Absolutely, on every single deal. Whether it's multifamily or single family or whatever it is, right? So we're absolutely doing that. That's good. It's good to know, brother. And so, okay, so you moved from Hawaii, still doing deals there, obviously, but when you're holding, you're looking outside of the Hawaii market now, and you're in 16 doors there. What else is going on in your world?
We're just working a deal here in Pennsylvania. We're doing 11 doors, and
Okay.
it's the same BRRRR model in a sense in multifamily. But
Mm-hmm.
see, I know Abel got this to the T, but anybody out there? So in the BRRRR model, we are forcing the appreciation by fixing up a single family home, adding value by adding, I don't know, adding a nicer kitchen, adding flooring. We're forcing the appreciation to go up by making the home nice. In multifamily world, they don't really care about that kind of stuff. They care about your expenses and your income. So in the multifamily, we're forcing appreciation of this home by lowering all our expenses. In this particular deal, the landlord's paying all the expenses, all the heating. It's like 40,000, 30 something thousand a year we're paying in expenses. So we're going to offset those, submeter it out, and give it to all the tenants. So get rid of all those expenses, and then we'll increase the rents by $100. It's only $750 a unit. We're going to increase it to $850, and we'll justify that by, of course, painting it and doing a new asphalt driveway and new roofs and some stuff like that. But no, the real win for that is it's a BRRRR model in a sense, but we are lowering our expenses, increasing our incomes, and thus adding creating value in this property. And then we'll go to the banks, refinance out all our investors, all our money, and have a nice pretty loan, and enjoy it for years to come.
Yeah.
I'm doing another one here in Hawaii. It's a 4 unit, and the same thing where I like to get control of these properties and like do what I want to do, fix it and do whatever, and then I'll go to the banks and get them into nice pretty loans. And
Yeah.
for me, I just think it's good just sometimes to get control and to not necessarily make money the first 1 year, 2 years, but in the back end, they will. It's a longer play, but
Mm-hmm.
totally, yeah. And it's just
Beautiful.
different from flipping in a sense that it's flipping's a job, and
Yeah.
that used to bother me, like, okay, I can flip this house and I'll make 50 grand right now. I want that money right now. And this was a struggle for me because I wanted that money right now. That's my human mentality. I want that money, but I didn't start realizing this was a game changer, that I didn't just make that profit from rental income. Maybe I make $1,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
24,000. Oh, it is 12,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't just make 12,000 a year. I had depreciation to write off, and the newest thing a couple of years now we've been doing is cost segregations. You
Yeah.
know, I can use my flipping, make a killing there, and just wipe that out. And like that amount of savings is pretty cool, way better than sometimes just making your rent. And I have buddies that don't even care about their rent. They literally buy failing, homes or commercial properties just for the write-off. It's better
Yeah.
than giving it to Uncle Sam, right? It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is awesome. Let me pause here too. For those that are, just kind of listening, and whether you're active or passive, whether you're multifamily or single family, there's these angles or strategies or thought processes to trading your time for money and making active capital. And that active capital, as Indar mentioned, is on the single family portion. It was a job. It's a job. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work. You get paid today, though. Which is hard because, like, well, I could get paid $2 tomorrow or $1 today, right? And we're like, well, okay, it's really not $2 tomorrow. It's like $2 in 10 years as opposed to $1 today. And if you can do that, though, that's your active capital. And in real estate, that's what helps you create cash flows, money today. And then over the long period of time, if you can put some in for wealth creation, you invest and you hold and you do defer that buck today. And it does become a couple bucks, tomorrow or the next year. But in between there's tax advantages. The goal is to keep as much of the money you make, because if an active capital, you get taxed the hardest. You get taxed upfront, super hard. And if you can create quote unquote passive income, it's passed at a lower rate and then taxed at a lower rate. And then also what Indar mentioned is the cost segregation studies on deals that are big enough, or especially commercial. You can squeeze 27 and a half years of depreciation, which is in a single family house, and you squeeze it down into 5, and it can eliminate, at least reduce, the active capital gains from the work of active capital that you do. So the goal is to keep more of your money. Uncle Sam is going to get his one way or the other, but the reason he gives you a break on that side is because you're creating housing, you're creating jobs, you're creating, there's plenty of taxes that Indar and his company are making, but they're also taxed to the developer, the GC, the inspector, the appraiser, all of the extra jobs that get created, those get taxed. And so Uncle Sam says, let me give Indar a break here, because I'm going to get more tax in the bigger, broader entrepreneurship side of it. So, it all fleshes out, but for us, these are the advantages we want to take care of ourselves. And what you talked about too, Indar, is not, this is kind of the part that I don't think a lot of us sometimes talk about, right? Is we think Ferraris and big cars, right? $1 million houses, but it's not exactly like Ferraris and big cars. It takes a while to get to that end run. So you've had some struggles, some challenges, I'm sure, to kind of get through. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I see guys flexing with the Ferraris, and I just want to go stand by my $200,000 rental and flex with that instead. That's wealth, that's the wealth. I mean, fixing and flipping is a job, and I make money now, but getting all these passive income, this is what I can leave to my kids, my kids' kids, and it's generational wealth. And now that we're new dads here, it's so awesome to think about that we're creating this legacy for our kids. I have a buddy who made one of his rentals pays off 18 years right when his kid turns 18, and here you go, son, you're 18, this particular home is for you, you can figure out in life. That's such a better college savings than anything I can think of. He could sell that home, he can rental income, he can refinance it, whatever he wants to do. But it's generational wealth that we're creating here for our kids and kids, and it's such a cool feeling as a dad that I can just sit here and giggle about almost.
Yeah, man.
And all the other taxture savings and all that fun stuff. I love talking about taxes now that I'm learning all these different strategies, and the what is it, the 179 tax depreciation. We just bought my wife a new work vehicle, 6,000 pound.
Yeah, you can accelerate that depreciation too.
Yeah, December 26th, right at the end of the year, we needed it, and got a brand new BMW X5 to write it off.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that's awesome, man. Hello. You're listening to the 5 Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you're serious about achieving financial freedom. Are you ready to create your own path through multifamily investing for yourself and your family? Then I know you're going to appreciate our Investor's Guide to Multifamily Investing. It's titled Tackling Commercial Real Estate the Easy Way. We use this guide to invest ourselves in $93 million worth of real estate. So we're going to show you the basic mechanics of multifamily syndications and how to evaluate your next passive investment opportunity. So the best part, if you subscribe to our podcast now, leave us a review and a rating. I'm going to give you a free copy of our ebook. So please take a moment to do that now. Once you've done that, go to 5tcre.com/ebook, 5tcre.com/ebook. Make sure to let us know you left a review, and we're going to send you a free copy. So thank you so much for subscribing to the 5 Talents Podcast. We really appreciate it. So tell us about, some of we've talked about some of the amazing highs, right? What are some of the lows that you've had to muscle through just to kind of get to where you're at now?
Yeah, I want to share some of the struggles in this business with you guys out there, because let's be real, there's ups and downs in every business and anything you do. And I would not take even advice from people who haven't struggled and haven't succeeded as well through those struggles. And I feel like I learned so much from some of those stuff. As we grew, we were doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flips. And then we started getting 7, 8, 9, doing a lot. And here in Hawaii, that's a huge, huge holding cost. That's a huge amount of money flowing in and out. I mean, I spend 100, 200,000 a week sometimes. So it's a lot of money in and out. And, little things like for a fix and flip side of the business, we get loans from hard money lenders, and they fund 100% our rehabs, which is great and awesome. But they don't fund our rehabs until we do work. So we have to do work and then ask for draws. And we were all right with 1 or 2, 3 or 4. But then when we started getting, say, 15 homes, and you have to do like 30 grand worth of work before you can ask for that money, we were super spread out because we would have to fund that gap. 30 grand times 15, that's a lot of dollar bills that we would have to upfront and carry. And that was a huge learning curve for me to eventually just instead have more gap funds that I needed on a deal than just trying to get enough for the purchase. So, having that little bit of extra cushion on my gap funds to really just feel comfortable at night, sleep at night. And so what I have to pay a little bit more interest to my investors and so forth, or more money, at least I could, scale this part of the business, because I think we hold, 12 million right now in flips or so. So we have a lot of money going, and our rehabs are, an average of 80 to 90,000.
Yeah.
So we have some bigger rehabs, and it's a lot of money. So that was a huge thing. And then as well as I started front loading our rehab budgets. And actually one of my hard money lenders turned me on to this. Is like, I was super honest what the rehab budget was going to be. And a lot of times in construction and in the beginning of your project, a lot of money is shelled out front at the beginning. And then there's nothing to show for it, kind of thing. Like, just spent 30 grand and like it doesn't look like much. So we started front loading it. So we would start finding the items that were at the beginning and give it those budgets a little boost in a budget to our hard money budget. And so, for example, permits cost, I don't know, 5 to 10 grand here in Hawaii. So we would, move that up to 15 grand. Or windows or demos now doubled. That way we can recoup that money a little faster than waiting till, oftentimes you're at the very end of the project and then you're finally getting the rest of the rehab funds, and it's like too late at that point. So that was a huge struggle at the beginning. And I got some ninja tips too, if I want to share to you guys.
Sure. Actually, well, so for our audience, I'm trying to think about two different paths, right? Our audience in the passive investor arena, it may be some good advice here. So you do a lot of active work. You mean a ton of it, right? As the largest flipper over there in Hawaii. So now moving to holding property, what are some of the best strategies or insights you have around, like, how do you just manage that? What to hold, what to keep? How do you view cash flow? How do you view income streams? And any of this stuff would be awesome.
Well, I do use a BRRRR method, where anyone not familiar out there, there's that 2 rules we follow. So we make sure we're all in at 70%, not 75%. So we make sure rehab, as well as holding costs, as well as escrow costs, all those little things people sometimes forget about, need to be all in at 70%. So we make sure we're all in at 70, because when we start the deal, you may go over your rehab budgets, or you may be off on your ARV. So when that appraisal comes, to us, we just don't want to have any money into the deal at the very end. We don't want to have to be writing a check for that final refinance at the very end. So for us, we learned that we make sure we're all in at 70%. And that way, when we refinance at the back end, we are not putting money into that deal. I'm all right now if I have to put some money into a deal, because it's not a bad place to put money into my assets. But we ideally don't want to put any money into any of our deals. Ideally, we want to get some money back.
Yeah.
And now managing, I look for rental wise. I actually love Section 8. Section 8 is great here in Hawaii. Been really loving it. For us here in Hawaii, Section 8 is the low income housing authority. The state of Hawaii pays for your rent, so the state is never late. The state always pays on time, so I never have to worry about a check coming in. And the other part of managing these renters is that they have a caseworker that I can talk to, I can go to if anything. Um, it's it's like a 4-year waiting list to get onto Section 8. So, the renters and all of them are very aware of that, and will make sure they appeal, to that caseworker, and make sure everything's smoother in that sense. And so I've been really enjoying the Section 8 side of things, because they're solid renters to me. Military is number one, of course, and then Section 8 would be number two, for me,
Yeah.
in my choices. And military is the same concept. You can always go to their commanding officer, and they get their rent checks as well. So,
Well,
it's finding a good renter is really a hard thing sometimes.
yeah. It's not the easiest thing in the world. And I'm well, you know what I'm excited about though for you, out of everything that I'm hearing, there's so many, great nuggets that I can pull from. The way you created your network, the way you educated yourself, your supportive wife, your continued, belief on success. And then now, even just realizing, as I'm hearing you, I'm realizing some stuff from myself. I'm like, oh, this is active, this is passive, and I need to go more towards from active and pull to passive. But I love, every bit of this conversation, brother. And it's a fun one to have. I'm excited for your multifamily in the future too.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't hit on, are those numbers. So like, Indar mentioned something, and for you that are just trying to learn a little bit, if you're listening to multifamily, there was an 11 unit deal, right?
Yeah.
You're pushing rents up by $100. So it doesn't sound like a lot. This is why the difference, there's power in that multifamily side, because if you have 11 units, I'm doing the math on my calculator, times $100, it's $1,100 a month. Multiply that by 12, and that's $13,200 in a
Yeah.
year.
And yeah.
Well, and then he mentioned $40,000 of utilities that you're going to spend some money to do individually metered and push it back to the tenants. So that's $40,000 plus 13,000. It's 53,000, 53,200 bucks. So $53,200. Where was this? Is this in Ohio?
This one's in Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know the cap rates over there or no?
They're pretty low, actually. I think they're 6, or I think they're about
So I'm taking the way you find out your value in this property, or for anybody doing the math, we created not the property, but just the creation of NOI. That's $53,200, $100 from the rent increases, and then $40,000 that you can save for the year. So you're saving you're creating 40K reduced expenses, and then $1,300 of extra. So that's 53K of NOI. Divide that by 0.06, and that's 886 grand of value that you in our
exactly. We came up to about 800,000. Yep. Yeah. 800. Yeah.
So that power of multifamily, man, I'm excited as you
we're
start
buying
connecting more on these deals.
We're buying it for just under 4, and yeah, we'll throw in probably 50 into it, and refinance that out. Get our investors back out.
Boom, brother, man. I'm excited for you. I'm excited. Well, Indar, before we go, because I know we have a hard stop here, is if our listeners, our guests, or anybody wants to reach out to you, connect with you, what's the best place for them to do so? And who do you actually want to have reach out to you?
Just follow me on Instagram, Indar Hawaii, Indar Hawaii, Hawai, or you can go on the Facebook, of course, and go from there. I have all my link tree stuff on there, and just message me on Instagram, follow me, comment on my stuff. And I love commenting and talking story with people and sharing my 2 cents. And that's all I have here is my own 2 cents. So it's just my matter of opinions. Real estate's the wild, wild west. There's no rules. There's no one telling you right or wrong. It's a learning process for all of us. I didn't get to share my ninja tips. I
Oh,
had
go
some
ahead. Go
ninja
ahead.
tips.
I was about to say, is there anything else I didn't ask about it? Go right
Let me
ahead.
throw them out there real fast. Some little quick ninja tips. I wrote them down. Is what is it? If you're in escrow and you're selling a home and you have hard money, hold huge holding costs. Know your holding costs. So we do $100 credit or $50 credit to the end buyer for any days they close sooner. So, for example, we have a $300 daily holding cost. If we credit them $100 a day, it's really, we're saving money. So even though it feels like you're giving them a credit to close sooner, it's really saving you money because you're closing sooner. So throw that credit and it'll entice them to close sooner and get the deal done sooner and not let it drive out. Um, this is a huge one that most people don't get. No offers equals no deals. Put the offers out there. I get so much newbies and they're worried about putting an offer, and that put the offer out there. You have J1s, you have inspection periods, you have outs, put that offer out there. You don't get deals until you put offers out there. And for us, our KPIs are about 21, 22 offers gets us a deal. So you just trying to get to that 21 mark, just trying to get to that. Um, Appraisal clauses are huge out there. Any new agents, anyone out there, we literally just had about 20 offers on this property. We just listed a few days ago. And we didn't even, the offers got so high that we just started looking who had the best appraisal clauses in there. So, those are key components. If you're a new realtor, learn about appraisal clauses and things like that to make your offers stand out. And we don't really have time to get into it, but it's more of a realtor side of things. I am not a realtor, but and networking is a huge part of this industry. That's why we're on here on Clubhouse and Talking Story. We get deals from friends. We partner with friends and other people, and it's such a great community to help each other. And that's why I help people, is because it'll come back around. Eventually, karma and in life, and so if it doesn't, at least, networking and helping each other is such a great aspect of it all, of all of this. And you know start becoming a professional money finder. I think that's the name of this game. I think that's the secret to it all. You see all these big dogs out there, Greg Cardone and all that. He's doing that stuff to find investors. Uh, Everyone who does this business, it's all about finding investors, finding hard money, private money, lines of credit with the banks. It's about figuring out how to just create all this money to work for them. And we're talking millions and millions of dollars. And essentially everyone's winning. The banks, investors, and all of them are making a cut from it. If you guys are watching on TV and you see those flipping homes, they don't show some of those hard money and the holding cost a lot of times. But investors make a huge cut of our deals. And if anyone else, that's some investor, but that's, be a professional money person finder. Go to get your credit cards, and you can use those as rehab funds. Go to banks and get small business lines of credit for up to 50 grand. And things like that. You can do HELOCs in their homes. A lot of newbie out there are worried about the money and finding the money. And it's ready, available. I mean, when I started a while ago, hard money was super hard to even get. They wouldn't even talk to you unless you had deals. But now hard money is a dime a dozen. And so much so, I actually tried to go to BlackRock Group. I actually called up BlackRock and Wall Street, the hedge fund, and I was like calling and trying to get directly to the money, cut out hard money, cut out everybody, and find my, in with them. And I could have, but I needed like a $10 million portfolio to perform with them, which I didn't have. But be a professional money finder from family and friends. As I said earlier, partner, making nothing or making something. If you don't have the money, partner with somebody in your area on your first deal. I did it,
Yeah.
but making nothing or making half of a deal is still
There you go.
But,
Indar, I'm so excited. Thank you very much for
thank you,
this
guys.
conversation, brother.
Thank you, everybody.
It's been amazing. And if
you,
you all heard something that provided some value today, which I'm pretty sure it did, I would love you to go subscribe, rate, and review on the Five Talents podcast. Reach out to Indar. It would make my heart smile, make my heart happy. And but yes, thank you very much. And again, Abel Pacheco with the Five Talents podcast. Indar, you're the man. Thank you very much for this conversation.
Aloha, gangs. Malama aina. Take care of the land. I'll take care of you.
Love it. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Five Talents podcast with your host, myself, Abel Pacheco. Each week, we're going to bring you interviews from industry experts and commercial real estate investors who follow their dreams and achieve massive success. Before you leave, let me ask you a few questions. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something valuable? Was your mind stretched to what's possible and what you can achieve? Do you want other experts just like the one you heard today? If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, then please take a moment to subscribe to the Five Talents podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, leave us a written review. Tell us what you liked, tell us your favorite guest, give us any feedback. I'm excited to learn and improve so you can get a more valuable show. So thank you again for subscribing to the Five Talents podcast.